Very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mawani and I warmly welcome all of you to Study IQ. I hope you all are doing good and enjoying your Sunday morning. With this, dear friends, let's start with Jalaluddin Rumi. I'm sure you might have heard about Jalaluddin Rumi, and there is a film called Rockstar, right, of Ranbir Kapoor, and I forgot the name of the actress. Anyways, in that one as well, there is a very beautiful poem of Jalaluddin Rumi, and here is a quote for all of you. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Think about it, right? This could be a very good food for thought for your interview, because I'm sure you might have heard this line many a times, that whenever students are asked about this thing, then one thing that is common, we say that we want to change this thing and that thing in the world, but hardly we ever think about changing ourselves, isn't it? So with this, I'll leave it to you guys, right, to think about it, and let's move ahead. Study IQ provides pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams. To find out more about it, check out StudyIQ.com. With this, dear friends, the reason why I started with Jalaluddin Rumi is because Iranian president is here in India, and here you can see on your screen, if we move a little bit western side, as we cross Afghanistan and Pakistan, we find this country Iran, isn't it? And I have a zoom map as well for you guys here. You can see Tehran is the capital here. You can see it is sharing land boundary with many other countries. Caspian Sea on the northern side. On the southern bit, it has Persian Gulf. You have this Arabian Sea here. A very important strait here is called Strait of Hormuz. And a couple of days ago, our Prime Minister was here in this country called Oman. Here he was in UAE, and here a small bit here that you can see here, right? It is, sorry about that, this one is a tip of Oman here. Very important strait, this one, because most of the oil of this area passes through this strait. So let's see what we have got. And one more item that I would like to add here before I move ahead is this one, that you find Zagros Mountain. Let me show you where Zagros Mountain. So here you can see this is Zagros Mountain range, and other bits and pieces about Iran, some background information. It is rich in oil and gas. This area of Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan and Iran, they do extract oil and gas from this Caspian Sea. Then you have other parts of Iran from where you get oil and gas. It was under sanctions for a very long period of time, and it is also a Shia power in the region or in the world. When it comes to Shia faction or Shia branch of Islam, then Iran is one of the most powerful countries. Now let's see what we have got in the news pertaining to this India and Iran's relationship. As you know that Hassan Rouhani is here in India, and Iran on Saturday joined hands with India to promote connectivity. And here you can read the line here, says that transit and trade are the core of bilateral relationship between India and Iran. So you can get a gist or crux of this relationship. That transit basically means transport, and when we talk about transport, Chabahar port is one of the most important link connecting India and Iran. And then we talk about trade. There are many things. We will talk about it in detail. But first, let me show you Chabahar port. From here, Mumbai, or from this western coast, you can easily, via this Arabian Sea, you can easily travel to this Chabahar port. Once you reach here, then you can get access to Kabul as well, or Afghanistan, via rail and road. So this is for the first time that Afghanistan is going to have a full-time sea connectivity. Afghanistan is a landlocked country. The second thing is that international north-south trade corridor connecting Mumbai with Moscow. As you reach here, from this Kabul, you can reach Turkmenistan and other countries. From Iran, you can take Caspian Sea, and then you can reach other countries in the northern bit, and finally you can get connected with this Moscow. So earlier on, you can imagine you have to travel all the way to Black Sea and then Mediterranean, and then you come to Red Sea, and then you reach here in India. So it was a a long route, but now with the help of this Chabahar port, things are moving on, right? Hopefully very soon we will see this INSTC delivering its fruits to us. In this context as well, Chabahar port is one of the most important port for our country. With this, dear friends, both leaders have agreed that we will cooperate in fields of energy, banking and counter-terrorism. And interesting thing is that when it comes to bilateral and international issues, there is no divergence between India and Iran. That means that our views are same on different topics, so less friction, more progress. So it's a good thing. With this other bits and pieces or other important items, you have this thing. This Chabahar is termed as Golden Gateway. Now you understand why it is a Golden Gateway, isn't it? Because of this international North-South trade corridor, and it provides a connectivity to Afghanistan. With this, India is also going to set up or you can say set up plants or industries or factories pertaining to fertilizers, petrochemicals, metallurgy in Chabahar free trade zone. Important for both the countries. When I say, for example, fertilizers, then we need fertilizer. Iran as well is good in agriculture. Its land is quite fertile, so for them as well it is going to be useful. Petrochemicals, we already know that Iran is oil and gas producer, so we can have many products from petrochemicals, beneficial for both the countries. Mr. Rouhani expressed his dissatisfaction with this nuclear deal, particularly with USA. You know how USA's Donald Trump, the way he took a stand, and this nuclear deal was not a deal between USA and Iran. It was a deal of international community. You have this P5+1. When I say +1, we are adding Germany here. They had a deal with this country called Iran. So in total, this 7 players. But remember, this P5+1, they were representing United Nations. So it is in fact a world deal. But when USA rejects it, so this makes everything in or puts the whole thing in a limbo. Not good for the world. Then we have this Iranian one more thing, I would like to add here. Let me give you some background information regarding Iran's politics. For a very long period of time, Iran was handled by USA until this Iranian revolution. After that, we have seen that relationship between USA and Iran are not at all good. And then you have Israel, that is an arch rival of Iran. Then you have Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia and other teammates of Saudi Arabia, they are against Iran as well. And Iran has some good friends, like say for example Russia is supporting Iran for obvious reason because USA is against Iran. Then you have China. Nowadays we are also seeing a sort of China's role getting a bit bigger and bigger in this portion. So that's a big picture of geopolitics, and Iran is supporting Syria and the things going on in Yemen, right? They are supported by Iran. Now, Iranian Pasargad Bank, a branch will be opened in near future in our country, and this will help in bilateral relationship or bilateral trade. To be precise, rupee Riyal, beg your pardon, rupee Riyal arrangement. Riyal is the currency of Iran. So rupee Riyal arrangement to avoid hindrances. What happens is that because Iran is under sanctions, so dollar is a bit difficult for Iran to trade or exchange with other countries. So it is better that we use our rupee and Iranian Riyal to do trade between with each other, and then you can bypass this ups and downs of your currency. So good thing for both the countries. Both the countries talked about security situation in Yemen, Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan. We know that all these 4 countries are going through a very rough and turbulent period as far as United Nations Security Council is concerned, and India's permanent membership. Iran said that it is fully supporting India's candidature. It also said that we together both the countries can fight against all forms of terrorism. And we also basically Iran argued or pitched for India. Iran said that India is such a beautiful and a strong country, and India should have all the right to have a veto power. So a full support from Iran when it comes to United Nations Security Council and India's permanent membership. We signed 9 pacts very quickly: avoidance of double taxation and prevention of fiscal evasion, then no more visa requirement for diplomatic passport holders, then exchange of instrument of ratification of extradition treaty, lease contract for Shahid Beheshti port, phase 1 of Chabahar, medicine. Very important thing here: when Iran was under deep sanctions at that point of time as well, India used to supply medicines to Iran. It falls under this life necessity category of United Nations. And the other thing is that our pharmaceutical sector is one of the best in the world. We supply medicine to more than, if I'm not wrong, more than 100 countries in the world. So Iran is going to benefit out of it. For us, it's a new market. Agriculture, as I told you, agriculture and allied sector. Agriculture, they have fertile land. We have fertile land here, and together we can work with each other and develop our agriculture sector, food security as well. And important bit here, the reason why I started with Jalaluddin Rumi is because Sufism is a common thread that binds both Iran and India together. And let me add one more thing, that in today's The Hindu, I have gone through a couple of pages of The Hindu pertaining to this India-Iran news item, and I was not that much satisfied. So what I have done is I have gone through other sources so that I can present a sort of holistic picture, a big picture, and all important bits and pieces. We can touch all these gamuts of bilateral relationship between India and Iran. So Sufism, you know that Sufism stands for peace, love, brotherhood. And as far as my personal experience and observation is concerned, I have reasonably traveled India, and I know one thing that I have observed is that you go to any town or any city, you find at least one dargah in our country, isn't it? So Sufism again is in the gene of our country. And when we have this rich and diverse culture, and when we have Sufism in our country, then of course, right, naturally we are not for terrorism, radicalization and banned substances. Both countries have decided that they will fight against all these three things, and of course new challenges like international crimes and cyber crime as well. Together both these countries will fight against all these evils that are prevalent at present, unfortunately, in our world. Problems of the world will not be overcome if countries do not agree with principles of ethics and morality in foreign policy, said by Iran. So that's everything regarding India and Iran. Now let me take you to other important items. You have this Lokpal, Judicial Lokpal, a food for thought given by Prashant Bhushan. He is a senior advocate, and he said that we should have a Judicial Lokpal that should have powers, or it should be independent. It should have enough powers. When I say independent, or when Mr. Prashant Bhushan is saying that it should be independent, he is saying that it should be free from the clutches of judiciary as well as government. It should be totally independent, and it should be allowed to initiate actions against judges if there are any complaints against any judges. He also shed some light on this thing, on these 3 points, which I believe are very important. He said the absence of any concrete system to ensure accountability is there in judiciary. Judiciary is independent, no doubt, but there is no system of accountability. How we check accountability of judges and judicial system is not there. So this is one negative point. The second one is that post-retirement jobs granted by the center. So you can understand that judges will incline or will have a soft corner for a ruling party if they know that after their retirement they will be provided with a good job by the government. Government's power to grant funding for foreign trips of judges. So again, you can understand that government can have a sort of indirect influence on judges. So these are the 3, you can say, negative points that can be sorted out. And this thing, hopefully in near future, if we find some articles or editorials on this thing, then we will analyze it thoroughly. With this Maldives and China, very briefly, very interesting observation by former President Mohammad Nasheed of Maldives. He said that without firing a single shot, China had grabbed more land than what the East India Company had during the height of colonial era with this Punjab National Bank. It's just a small update. You know what's going on over there, this big fraud. CBI has arrested three officers, and they are being sent to 14 days judicial police custody. 21 locations were searched by or raided by this enforcement directorate, and till now, so far, 5,674 crore rupees or items worth this much, 5,674 crore has been seized by this ED. Ex-Maharaja, this is important for your India and Poland relationship, right? If we go back in a history 80 years ago, then we find this very beautiful case of one of the king of Gujarat, Jamnagar district. His name is Jam Sahib of Nawanagar, right? He provided, or he basically looked after this 1,000 Polish children who came here in India, and they came here because of this Second World War. Back in 1939, Poland was invaded by Hitler's forces, and then later on by Stalin's Red Army. So Poland was in deep crisis, very rough period for Poland. And even today, when they remember this thing, they feel pain. You can see pain in their eyes when they talk about this invasion. So I'm sure many of you might have, you would be aware about this World War and history of World War. And when you read World War I or II, make sure you take this thing into consideration, this news item. And in near future, as far as I can remember, near future, we are going to see Poland, important leaders from Poland. They are going to be here in India. So at that point of time, this thing may be discussed. If not, then you have one more feather in your hat. Venkaiah Naidus ji has shared some good thoughts, and these are just not thoughts. These are tips for action for all of us. He has said that political parties should shun violence. He said that regarding this secularism. Now we have Sufism here. I would like to give you example of Ashok, right? Ashok himself, the great King Ashok, he used to follow Buddhism, but his grandson followed Jainism, and it's not that they were just basically, means there were not these two religion only. At that point of time, there were other religions as well, and they were promoted. All religions were promoted by this king and this Maurya Empire and other kings as well. So we are talking about what, 2,300 years ago till now. We see that India has always been secular, right? We have always welcomed this idea of different ways of worship and different religions. So it is something that is in our gene. And as per Venkaiah Naidus, he said that you cannot say that this thing, secularism, is a result of or is in our country because of any particular political party. He also said that in next 7 years we are going to be third largest economy in the world. And one more good thing that he said, and very important for all of us to understand, particularly for aspirants, you should understand this thing, that you can design the best policy in the world, you can have all the tools and resources, but if you don't have people's cooperation, then all those policies, they are going to fail. So for development of our country, it is very important that each and every citizen is contributing something and something. With this very sad news coming from Nigeria, 19 people have been killed and 70 others are injured because of this Boko Haram. Boko Haram is a very notorious group in Nigeria. It is a terrorist organization, a very big terrorist organization, very dreaded one as well. So this is a sad news coming from Nigeria. And the last item that I have for you regarding science and technology, very important one, a Greenpeace research vessel. At present, it is heading, or it is going to be there for 3 months in this Southern Ocean, and they are going to conduct research on climate change, pollution, and fishing. They are also going to set up this Antarctic Ocean sanctuary. This is going to be the biggest sanctuary in the world, largest protected area in the world, to provide a safe haven for marine life from industrial fishing. And here you find penguins, you find many kinds of fish and marine life, whales, seals. And important thing that I find here is this one. You may find MCQs on this thing. It is called krill fishing. Right now, krill is a keystone species in Antarctica. Very important line here for you guys. Antarctica ecosystem, because most wildlife is either directly or indirectly dependent on it, including penguins, whales, and seals. Now, if you don't know what krill looks like, then here is a picture for you. It may look big on your screen, but it is very tiny. In our hand, you can easily fit 100-200 krills, right? So they are that small, that tiny, but very important keystone species. So remember this information as well. And that's everything that we have got in today's The Hindu. These are your answers. These are your new questions. And don't forget to check out StudyIQ.com. With this, dear friends, enjoy your Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed, then please do hit the notification bell. It will help you a lot. And if you have learned something, then I really appreciate if you can hit that like button, pass your positive comment, and I would be looking forward for your answers. Enjoy your studies. I will see you all soon. Jai Hind.